What if everything that you've been told about being an INFP is actually holding you back? You know, the whole sensitive dreamer stereotype, the one that can never actually handle reality. Well, it's not true. So in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey on how I stopped being a typical INFP and how that changed everything in my life. And I'll give you a 4-step process that has helped me have a better relationship with my emotions, as well as more control over the direction of my life. So first up, let's talk about some of these INFP stereotypes that you might know if you're an INFP. The INFP personality type is often painted as a perpetual dreamer, one that is creative but impractical, one that's empathetic but oversensitive. And while these traits can be true in many ways, we do experience a lot of these. They don't have to define or limit us. INFPs are not just daydreamers. We're visionaries. We see the possibilities that other people miss, the potential, the opportunities that humans can accomplish. We have emotional intelligence as a strength. And this is not saying that just because we are INFPs, we have emotional intelligence. Not all of us develop it as much as we could, but it's a natural tendency that we explore emotions. And one of the core components of our personality type is introverted feeling. And while that is not actually emotions, it is an assessment, an evaluation of how we feel about different things. And if we're in that space for that long of a time, it's one of the core strengths of our personality type, then we tend to value emotions as well, because they're signs that something is important to us or that it's important to another individual. And so we tend to want to develop it. We have a wider bandwidth for it. So our deep empathy isn't a burden. It's actually a superpower. It's something that the world needs, especially now. And we can use that to develop not just ourselves, but develop better relationships and even become a leader in many ways. And also creativity. So we are not just creative dreamers. We have these ideas that can spark real world change. Now, sometimes the implementation of those ideas and moving forward with our goals can be a struggle. I understand that. But they can radically impact humanity. Even if it's writing a story, a song, creating a movement, focusing on the environment or ethical treatment of animals or people. It's something that we care deeply about, and we can leverage that, and we can be more practical about some of those things in order to change how we exist within the world and how the world reacts to those topics. So don't let it limit you. So imagine being a healer in an RPG. I call INFPs the innovating soul as a character class. But imagine being a healer that only uses one ability. Maybe they have other ones, but they only use basic heal. It's just a simple, normal heal. And they're healing themselves. Maybe sometimes they're healing other people too. It's lackluster, right? It can maybe keep the party going, maybe keep yourself going, but you're missing out on other powerful abilities. Your sensitivity and creativity as an INFP is like moving into more advanced spells and abilities. So there's basic healing, which is only using empathy and sensitivity. And it's good. The world needs it, but it's not the full range of what you can accomplish and what you can do. Eventually, we can learn to harness a full range of abilities. Shields, chain heals, a bigger heal, life tap, maybe not draining it from somebody else, but like a life bond of sorts. And this unlocks a wider variety of how we can deal with situations and how we can help other people. So know that your sensitivity, your creativity, your personality type as an INFP has so much more potential when we allow ourselves to expand our range of capabilities. And through doing that, you end up living a life that's more enjoyable, more fulfilling. And that was a hard one for me. That was a big struggle for me because I was afraid that I would run out of energy, that, I tried to be a robot for a long time. I was playing as a rogue, and in real life, I thought of myself as a rogue instead of a healer. And when I made that shift and realized that it's okay to be squishy, it's okay to be healer, then so many things in my life changed. I would say almost everything. Just my beliefs, my actions, the skills that I developed after that, the people that I surrounded myself with, all from taking on that slightly different identity. So here's what you can do instead in order to transform your sensitivity into a strategy for self-development and for interacting with the world in a way that honors your personality type. One key thing, you don't want to change your personality type. Maybe you do. Maybe you feel that way right now, but that shouldn't be the goal. And it can't happen anyway, so you might as well embrace it. When I've gotten older, I'm 40 now, I've learned that I love being an INFP. I always think of, I love being a turtle, Ninja Turtles when I say that, but I really do. And I've talked to so many INFPs who have gotten older, and they've realized that INFP is great. There's so many amazing things that we have, and really, really big struggles too. I understand that. But I wouldn't want to be somebody who doesn't imagine the possibilities of interacting with my toys and my ideas and my imagination, and loving the feeling of Sonder, of being in an airplane, above looking over the city, Tokyo. You see the lights going by of the different cars, and you're looking down and diving into the identity of each person in those individual cars and their whole life. Like, that is so fun. There are struggles, I understand. But when you get older and you start to learn how to shore up some of those weaknesses, or you've watched videos on this channel, or you've joined the INFP Masterclass, infp.geekpsychology.com, then you start to learn there are benefits of being an INFP. But anyway, so here's this 4-step strategy that can help you use your personality type in order to be more appreciative of it and share your strengths with the world and feel better. Waking up and just being like, I love myself. It's good. So first, recognize. Acknowledge that your sensitivity is a strength. It's a unique ability to perceive other people's emotions, to pattern connect, to put yourself into their position. Say, if I were in their position, how would I feel right now? How did I get to this place? What is this cocktail of emotions and values and intentions that they're having right now? And you can really understand somebody at a deep level. And we do this to ourselves as well. Why am I this way? Why am I feeling this way? In a positive sense, what can I do now that I'm in this state? And so after you've recognized the state or the emotion, the value, the intention, the identity, then it's time to filter it. Learn to discern which emotions to absorb and which ones to let go. People will say that I just absorb other people's emotions. A lot of INFPs say that. I see it differently. This is something that I learned from Antonia Dodge from Personality Hacker, and I agree with it. She's not an INFP, she's an ENTP. She doesn't use introverted feeling in her first 4 functions, but how she worded it completely resonated with me, and that is, we don't absorb another person's emotion. We see them, and we go inside and we take on an aspect of them. We go into our self, all of our parts, and we find the nearest approximation of how that other person is probably feeling through pattern recognition. And then we generate that. We create it from within. And by doing that, we are simulating our version, our closest version to what they're going through. And for a lot of us, that happens unintentionally, even for me. But then when I catch it, I can change it. I can adapt it. I can absorb what is helpful and let go what is not. And you can too. It takes work. It takes some emotional calisthenics, some training, some practice, intentional practice. And step 3 is to channel. Use your emotional intelligence to navigate complex social situations effectively. Intrapersonal relationships, the relationship with all of your parts, as well as the relationship with other people. How would life be different if you could choose the state or the emotions that you bring out? If you knew that when you walked through a door, you would feel positive, happy, excited, caring, loving, concerned, ambitious, controlling, whatever the situation calls for in a positive way. I'm sure you're going to lean in that direction, right? INFPs generally want everybody to feel good. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, then everything's okay, How would life be different if you did that? If you could channel those emotions, those states? Well, you can. And then step 4 is to thrive, to leverage this empathy, this ability to build a deeper connection with yourself and with other people, to lead with compassion. You're probably a lot better of a leader than you imagine. Maybe you haven't put yourself in one of those positions to be a leader. But going through that before, we spend a lot of time really assessing, like, what does the other person want and need? And how can I allow that to happen? How can I negotiate with these people in this situation? And we have an endless ability to brainstorm different possibilities, different options. So once we get our heart and our mind set on something, we can find a way of making it happen. We got to step up to do it. So think about it like this. It's a typical Monday morning. Mr. John, John's at work, and he's seated at his desk, and he's trying to focus on his task. Oh, another Monday. I don't want to be here. Don't like being in this cubicle. And he's focused. He knows he's got to do this. And every conversation around him, like colleagues' moods kind of like seep into his own mind and his heart. It's distracting him. It's leaving him drained by the end of the day. And so one day, John decides that it's time to be more discerning about emotions, about which ones he lets in, his own thoughts, his own ability to be creative, and how it's taxing to be in negative states. And so he decided that, other people's problems are not his own. And instead of taking on other people's problems, he needed to reshape his ability to deal with his own emotions. And so he practiced mindfulness, grounding, learning different ways of setting boundaries, saying no, maybe using neurolinguistic programming, NLP, and learning how his mind encodes different feelings and beliefs and shifting and adjusting them. Maybe just meditated more. Maybe took some self-care and walked through the forest every once in a while. Gradually, John found more space for himself, more space to be in his own mind and heart, more space for creativity, not being exhausted by other people. And like that healer that I was talking about before, he learned to cast a range of different abilities. Instead of just focusing on one and worrying about conserving mana all the time, he decided to shield himself first, heal up, do things that regenerate mana, regenerate his life force, and interacting with other people was one of those things. Healing another person, making them feel good, helping them learn to feel good, was something that he had a natural skill in and didn't realize until then. This turned his sensitivity into a tool that he could use instead of a burden. And by recognizing what other people are feeling and how he feels himself, and filtering, discerning which is important to keep, which is the one to let in, which is the ones to keep out, and channeling that into a positive direction, a way of negotiating with other people and himself, he learned to thrive. He learned to heal better. He felt more fulfilled and emotionally driven, and felt like his life had meaning and purpose. By taking control of your emotional state, you can learn to use your strengths more effectively, more efficiently, and live a more balanced life. The key is not to fight your INFP nature, but to understand your strengths and find ways of using them. And some other practical ways of doing that are to turn that idealism that we have, that we're so good at, into action. And dream big. Don't limit yourself. Take a big goal, big dream, and embrace that you're going to have idealistic visions of it. And that leads to innovation. That's one of our core strengths. And then set some goals to allow yourself to transform those dreams into concrete, achievable, tangible objectives and results. And then take action. You got to take action on it. If you don't take action, it's just a dream. It's not a quest. Turn it into a quest, one that you're going to show up and take actions towards. Got a crying baby downstairs. break down the goals into smaller, manageable pieces. Not this big quest to slay the dragon and save the world, but what's the next thing that I got to do? I got to sharpen my blade. Got to go outside and, save the little kid from the river. I don't know. It's so hard to focus. And then you want to persist. Make sure that you use your passion, use your emotions to fuel you towards your goals, positively, getting you to move forward, as well as getting you to stay away from the life that you don't want to live. Stay committed, show up. And by going through this process, maybe not right away, but you're going to learn how to go from overthinking to action, how to being overwhelmed to being able to swim. The overthinking is a trap, and we can do it endlessly. And it's fun. It actually feels motivating to us. We're thinking about all the different possibilities, the different things that could come up, whether good or bad. But going from that into brainstorming and then taking action is something that is really important. Have an action-oriented approach. So instead of having endless what ifs, what could happen, what are all these different possibilities, know that you can adapt, you can change, you can pivot, you can move, right? And it's good to see what is coming, but it's even better to be in motion as you're doing it. You can't steer a parked car, right? You got to be going somewhere, or you're just going to be endlessly flooded with all these what ifs. It helps you get out of analysis paralysis. Embracing imperfect action has been so helpful for me. Speed of implementation, just take an action, see what happens. I know as introverts, we feel that like whatever we do, if it's not reflective of who we are inside and we put it out there and then it goes foobar and it's not great, then we have to deal with it and it causes more problems. And so we're like, well, why did I even do it in the first place? Why did I bring it out? I should have just kept it in. But it's the quickest way to get real world feedback and momentum and move the XP needle in your life forward is by doing something, by taking imperfect action, knowing that you can adapt, knowing that you can adjust, and knowing that you are more capable than you think you are. This eliminates fear of failure too, because you learn from the experiences and you can have gratitude for all the things that have happened or will happen. Even the bad ones, even the really bad ones, they teach you something. And if you can use that as a life lesson that you can bring forward, whether it's just for yourself or sharing it with your family, your children, those you care about, it can change the world. And you got to find a way of having a positive reflection over it. That's what I've learned, from my own experiences. You don't have to, it's up to you, but it's like, drinking poison yourself every day and hoping that somebody else suffers from it. You're the only one that's experiencing it again. So unfortunately, might as well find a positive way of dealing with it, taking a life lesson from it, gaining some XP from it, and using that to adapt how you move forward. And it also eliminates perfectionism because you like to follow progress instead of perfectionism, right? I'm moving forward. I'm getting an XP. I'm taking a step. I'm making a little adjustment. That is way better than perfectionism because perfectionism is a lie and you're never going to achieve it anyway. I'm sorry. It can't happen. Nothing is perfect except the fact that we are all imperfect, So that's how you can harness your strengths as an INFP and learn to thrive instead of being stuck in these stereotypes and emotions and values maybe that aren't serving you. But there's something that I haven't talked about yet in this video. All of these strategies won't truly set you apart from your old self or other INFPs if you don't understand your main strength, your dominant function, introverted feeling, and how it actually works, and then applying that to your daily life. If you are living against your strengths of your personality type, you're going to be exhausted all the time. You're not going to be able to fill and rejuvenate yourself. You're not going to get into flow and you're going to be miserable. I've seen it again and again from all these coaching calls that I've had with other INFPs. So click on this video over here if you want to learn really what's going on with introverted feeling, your core strength, and how to leverage it and how to use it in your life. See you there.